I will tell you that I find one of the most hopeful things, when Donald Trump said we're going to enter a new golden era of America, I believed him. He could have said that in 2020, and I wouldn't have believed him as much as I believe him now. And that's because we have a team of people that are not just all politicians cut exactly the same way, et cetera, et cetera. And usually you want people who are thinking like Donald Trump. But in this particular case, to be able to bring in somebody like Elon Musk, that's one of the most hopeful things for our country I've heard, maybe in my lifetime, because I know that guy can cut. I know that guy will find the waste in our government, and he's not a government guy. He's just a businessman, and he's going to look and go, you don't need any of those people. Redundant. Get rid of it. We actually have a chance of cutting our budget and being reasonable. And I also know that Donald Trump is going to cut regulation. He cut more regulation his first term than any other president, but they added so much regulation. He's going to have to cut more of it now, and he will. To get this economy roaring again, I think he's going to cut red tape like nobody's business. And we could have a true rebirth of freedom and the rebirth of the American dream. And I find that really hopeful. I'm tired of thinking that my kids are, going to be struggling and, they're going to be, eating, paper dolls or whatever they have to eat, because even cannibalism, there's no more food left, so they have to eat paper dolls. I don't know what's coming, but I'm tired of thinking of that. I'm really hopeful today. I'm glad to hear Stu just chime in on that and go, yeah, I'm with you, Glenn.
Glenn, I am hopeful, but there's another full I am, which is spiteful. And I'm trying my best not to embrace that part of my inner workings today. But you're right. I think it is. Look, there's a lot of good that could be done. We talked a little bit about what was unfortunately a missed opportunity of 2022 last night, where if things had gone a little bit better in 2022, we didn't even need a red wave, but just a little bit of a better election, you could be looking at a filibuster-proof majority with Donald Trump going in, and that would have been maybe even better. Remember, we still have the House. We got to get over that hump. I think that's going to be a real challenge here in the next couple of weeks, though. Republicans
and
have a
honestly,
good chance.
The Senate, we've got to get, if Cornyn becomes the new McConnell, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
The work never ends.
Cornyn cannot become the head of the Senate. He cannot become the new majority leader.
And this is going to be an interesting one, and maybe one of the first things Donald Trump is going to need to really decide here, as he has a very packed next couple of months doing all of this transition and getting all these people ready for these positions. He's got a ton to do. But this Senate leadership race will likely go to Cornyn or Thune unless Donald Trump takes a strong stand and puts his thumb on the scale for someone like Rick Scott.
I know.
And I don't know, I don't know what level of priority that is for him.
He really likes Rick Scott, though, doesn't he?
I think they have a good relationship. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So he may very well do it. I hope he's aggressive on that one. There's so much for him to do. And look, it's going to be a real challenge for all these things that he's wanted to do, for all of the Project 2025 things he was supposedly had planned.
Oh, thank goodness we lied enough to make sure that nobody knows that his whole plan is Project 2025.
Oh, do you remember when we said it was just a think tank white paper that the Heritage Foundation has produced every year since like 1984? Oh, right. That was a real way to scam on that one. It worked so well. Think of all the things they tried, Glenn. Just with Kamala. You had Project 2025. You had Trump as Hitler. You had Actually We're Joyful. You had JD Vance's Weird. Like all of these things, these are all just cataclysmic failures. None of them did anything. They were all embarrassing failures.
Over the weekend, I heard the worst on JD Vance, that he's going to inflict his mommy issues on all of us. I'm like, what kind of monster are you? I mean, the guy is like a miracle. I tweeted last night, let me see if I have this, because I just thought, we really need to be grateful to the Lord for this miracle that we saw last night. But also, there's a lot of people that work their butts off. Charlie Kirk,
Charlie's going to be swimming in money after this. I can't even imagine. You want to talk about a person who's increased his profile and is going to be very much rewarded. Is going to be Charlie because, between Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk really were responsible for the turnout operation, which seemingly outmaneuvered the entire Democratic machine in state after state. I mean, again, we're all going to look at this and say, at the end of the day, he's going to come out with probably 312 electoral votes. It's not going to look like it's that close of an election. But the truth of the matter is, all of these states are pretty close. These are all. He basically swept 7 states by pretty narrow margins. And that is turnout's got to be a part of that story. Pretty amazing.
And that is Elon Musk and Charlie Kirk. Let me just go through the list that I put on. I'd love to hear, any additions from you. Thank you, Charlie Kirk, for everything you did to serve and save the Republic. Elon Musk, thank you for your vision and your courage to defend a man's right to be heard and to speak. What that guy did is absolutely heroic. He knew he was going to be taken apart. And even when they said, we're possibly going to deport you, when they were going down the put him in jail, deport him, he still goes forward. Amazing. RFK for Make America Healthy Again. Tulsi Gabbard for just her courage and her honesty and her willingness to be humble. Joe Rogan for putting the stake in the heart of the mainstream media. That thing's dead now. That's dead. And they're only going to make it worse. All they have to do is go, okay, wait a minute. Can we take a week here and just look at what did we do? What have we been doing that's not working? But they won't do it. They're so deep in their own lies that they'll never find their way out of it because there's no humility there either. I mean, if you're not humble, you're never going to fix it, which reminds me, let's make sure we are humble. Make sure that we are humble or we will lose it again. We've been given a second chance. It's like America, was on the table and our heart stopped and somehow or another it just started beating again. Let's stay away from some of the fatty foods for a while, maybe get some exercise. JD Vance, look at what JD Vance brought to the table. He showed us that even the most disadvantaged can take charge of their own life and create their own miracle, their own American miracle. He couldn't have happened in any other country but America. And we had forgotten that is who we really are, that can happen in this country. Thanks.
Can we go a little bit more on JD Vance for a second?
Yeah.
We're told VP picks don't really matter. And I think that's typically true. It normally isn't that big of a factor. I think in this election, we're going to look back at it as a massive factor. Number one, JD Vance outperformed every vice presidential candidate I've ever seen in my entire life. He was absolutely incredible. He took a total beating at the beginning. Everyone said he was terrible, but he went on and made serious arguments in unfriendly places over and over and over again and absolutely destroyed Tim Walz in the one time that they were debating each other directly. And the same way that it will be looked back at, I think, as a really good pick for JD Vance, it will be the equivalent, whatever the opposite side is when it comes to Tim Walz, a truly horrible horrible decision that Kamala Harris admittedly made while she was sleep deprived. She literally has admitted that. It showed he was terrible from the beginning. And Glenn, it's funny when you look at the Pulse cast, the correction after that first debate, when Donald Trump seemingly fell behind a little bit, that whole comeback comes almost to the day of that debate.